Hey everybody, Yvette Kelly Fields, CEO and Principal Consultant for Yvette Kelly Fields Associates, and the author of, yeah, there it is, 5 Coaches. That's me. Yesterday I shared why I wrote this book, and for the next few days I am going to be taking time. My nose is itching. I'm going to be taking time to read from my book and share excerpts. As you're listening, if you like what you're hearing and want to see the full thing, you can purchase this book. I created this channel on YouTube, A Diary of a Nonprofit Boss, a nonprofit got a little cough, a nonprofit CEO, to be able to share some of the things, the daily struggles that nonprofit executive directors go through, but also share solutions. Solutions around fundraising, solutions around dealing with challenging staff, solutions around building a great board, and how a lot of the solutions that you're looking for can come from a lot of ways. I promote people getting coaches. I think every executive director should have an executive coach, especially if you're new to your role. To have an executive coach the first couple of years to help ground you, help you get past situations and challenges, makes the difference between you being successful and you being a failure. Makes the difference between you being able to stay in a role and actually make traction and get things done versus burning out. There are a lot of people who take on leadership positions who feel like they're equipped to do the job, and they get in there and they run into some politics that they thought they could navigate through, and then they find themselves frustrated. A bit of a cough here. And they find themselves frustrated. They can't find their way through. And they're looking for, a sponsor, a mentor. They're looking for somebody to come and say, here, let me take your hand and navigate you through there. And for a lot of nonprofit leaders, particularly women and people of color, no one comes forward to navigate you through. You have to be your own advocate, and you have to invest in yourself. And I always say to people, if you don't have, and even having a mentor, there's no guarantee with mentors that there's certain situations that they can navigate you through. Or having a sponsor. I mean, people can get you certain places, but even once you get in the door, you still have to have the knowledge of how to manage in the room. And having somebody who has done what you're trying to do, has had to navigate through crazy waters, is a key component. That's the whole point of having executive coaching. It's like to help you set you up for success. Like not just learning the operations and how to make the work happen because you're new to it, but also helping you to navigate through those first couple of years of things that you're not prepared for or didn't know about, but you have another voice you can call. You have another ear. And it doesn't have to be the board chair. It doesn't have to be a member of your staff, because there's times when the board chair cannot help you, and there's times when your staff can't help you, and you can feel very lonely in leadership. But having an executive coach gives you somebody to call when something happens, and it's just like, hey, this happened. Or I'm thinking about this, and I just need somebody to bounce this off of. And, my board chair can't help me with this. Internal staff can't help me with this. And I'm really not trying to just, every time I got something, I'm trying to call another ED or somebody else. Having an executive coach is like having someone right there. It's like having a second brain. And a more experienced and better second brain. That's what having a coach is. So a part of what I'm going to do over the next few weeks is I'm going to read excerpts from my book, just kind of describing the experiences I was having, and just kind of walk you through the process. Like, how did I come up with this idea of 5 coaches? And my belief, executive directors should have an executive coach, but that's not the only one. Because they can help you, guide you through the professional things, but you have someone who can help you with your health, someone who can help you with your finances, someone who can help you with relationships, and someone who can help guide you spiritually. And all those things don't have to be an in-person coach. All that doesn't mean you need to go sit with somebody once a week. Some of that coaching can come simply from reading books written by people who coach, and the book can guide you through some things. And I tell people you can incorporate the 5-coach model, which I'm going to talk about, into your daily life in less than 2 hours a day. I mean, health, nutrition, relationships, you can do it. So as we go through this book, we're going to learn how. So in the first chapter of the book, I am talking about the day when I was kind of like, all right, it's 2018. I have survived some crazy things. And I'm just having reflection. I'm thinking like, ooh, thank you, Lord, I came through. But I'm also thinking, what got me through? For our Christian friends, we always talk about, I look back on my life and I think things over. And I can truly say that I have a testimony. We also can say, it's often been said, I don't know how I got through it. I don't look like what I've been through. You hear all that. But if you take time to sit down and think about stuff, you can start to understand how you got through it. It's not just like Jesus carried me and I was completely oblivious to what was happening. It's like when you stop and reflect, you'll say, okay, this moment, that person came along, this moment, this move, that move. You can sit down and start to see it. And I can, it can all be divine. I'm not saying that it can't be. But you can look back and start to see certain people at certain times came along that contributed to you wading through difficult waters. And for me, I'm talking in the first chapter about how I was wading through some difficult waters. And I'll talk about the good stuff too. So, for example, I'm going to read this excerpt. In those 5 years, we had celebrated the organization's 50th anniversary with a week-long celebration that still makes me proud. We staged a full-scale theater production that told our story and filled the auditorium with tears, laughter, and community pride. We hosted a gala that broke fundraising records and reminded people why our work mattered. And we transformed our building with a vibrant mural painted on its exterior wall by its youth in the community and local artists. It was an image so full of color and life that it became a beacon in the neighborhood. People stopped to take selfies. PBS used it as a background for a show. It's been in many media publications, and inspired by the mural, other businesses started investing in their facades. Our building became a symbol of hope. That was the most magical year. And that at the time, that was 2016. We just had such a grand week of celebration. We had financially, we were very solid. We had great partners. All the projects we had at the time were moving along nicely. It was a really good year. 2017 would prove to be the year of challenge. Like we got through 2016, great. We got to the end of 2016 and some things had started to turn. And then they came full blown in 2017. 2017 brought a full-blown situation, like, wow. So here's my next part. During those 5 years, I transformed as a leader through the battles I faced as an executive director, battles I did not expect. Battles with rogue staff members. I narrowly avoided a coup d'etat from a staff member who thought she could lead better than I could. Battles with supposed community partners. I wrangled a rogue partner trying to siphon off a 6-figure contract. Battles balancing the budget under sudden funding cuts. I laid off good people who didn't deserve it, but because the contract paying their salaries was cut. Battles with volunteers and interns. I fired an intern who treated the lobby seating like a break room couch. And one of my biggest battles was surviving 4 months of razor-thin cash flow due to 120 days of delayed government reimbursement. Payroll weeks felt like the test of faith and arithmetic. Man, when I tell you 2017, oh my gosh. Wow, that was a tough year. You don't understand a tough year until you're trying to make payroll and you're up there like looking at the accounts receivables and you see the money and you're like, you can't get it. I could tell you how we had reimbursements due to us, and one of the organizations that played a role in the reimbursement was dragging their feet on doing their part so that it could trigger the payment. I mean, they literally were holding our checks. And it was like, what is happening? And I remember making phone calls to my board chair. Like, hey, I done called, I need you to call. These are just like some of the strategies. And by this time I had gotten a coach. But going into it, I didn't have a coach initially. Coach came about mid-2017. So, in the beginning of 2017, it's like the payments were slowing down, cash flow was getting tight, and the contract shifted. Let me tell you something about contracts, particularly government contracts. I know everybody loves the idea of getting a government contract. Oh, I want a government contract because the idea is like, oh, it's so much money. And government funding can be a lot of money. In spite of all the cuts that happened under the current administration, there are still many nonprofits who still receive federal dollars. And oftentimes people look for those kind of dollars because you could be talking about 10, 15, $20 million. It's significant money. And or for a small nonprofit, it could be $250,000, $500,000, $100,000. When your budget is about $1 million to $2 million, any infusion of cash that's anywhere between a six-figure infusion can make you or it can break you. It just really, really can. And because you are working the contract, you're doing the work ahead of getting paid, you're already shelling out money, expending money with the expectation of getting the money back through a reimbursement process. And it can be really great money. But if you do not have the financial coffers to be able to allow you at least 6 months of runway, one contract that's 3 or 4 months delayed in paying you could cripple your organization. And when I tell you we were getting the payments in drips and drops as we steadily have cash going out, and I'm out raising money. And I'm trying to raise operations money because I need money to pay our bills until this other money comes through. And we went through and had to make some shifts in a lot of things. I personally made some significant contributions just to make sure we made payroll. I mean, and I had been in nonprofit enough to know that I've seen that happen at least 2 other times at 2 nonprofits I worked for, and then I knew of other nonprofits that they had to go to the bank and get lines of credit, and we worked not to have lines of credit. We worked to keep our debt very low, because once you start servicing debt, things just get worse. If you don't have good wrangling of bringing in money beyond the contract, you are going to struggle. And I tell you, 2017, really, there was nothing I could do about it. But I learned how to navigate around people who made me feel like I had failed to do some part, and that's why we were struggling to have these financial flows. And it was nothing on me at all. It was the fact that I was not informed enough about what I could do and what my options could be. I was literally really trying to manage one relationship to get them to do the part they're supposed to do. Going through coaching showed me how to, if you're not getting the results you need going this direction, then we're going to look for the opportunity to go 3 other directions. I really was trying to go this direction because I didn't see another way. But with the coaching, it's like I could take a step back and the person can kind of guide me, and they literally would take out a piece of paper and okay, let's map this out. And I started to see pathways to where I need to go. I started to see, here's the conversation I need to have, and here's who I need to talk to. And I learned how to tactfully bypass people who cannot help me move the needle forward or is actively working not to move the needle forward. I would find that out. So you'll hear more about that as I read the book, but I just wanted to read that excerpt and talk about that moment when I was reflecting on how I had gotten through those years. And I can tell you in my reflection, on the good and the bad, the thing that I remember most was life got better after I got a coach. It really did. So that's what I remember. All right. You all have a good one.